What's going on, guys? It's Millen here from True Horizon. Today we're going to be covering exactly how you can run a high converting discovery call for your AI agency. So first of all, why would you trust these lessons or anything that I have to say? Well, we just eclipsed $300,000 in MRR for our AI agency. In fact, that's why I haven't uploaded a video for the past couple of weeks. It's because I've been heads down running through the final stages of this deal cycle, working through procurement and all that good stuff. In every video that I had before, I was saying that we were planning to scale to $250,000 MRR by the year end. We already smashed that goal just with the entirety of Q4 remaining in 2025. So we have since adjusted that goal to something a bit more modest, given the demand that we have so far, because we're now focusing some efforts elsewhere, but that's kind of another story. We have done over 25 successful client engagements from pre-revenue startups all the way to publicly traded Fortune 500s, and everything in this video is going to be 100% practical, lessons learned in the trenches by myself and my two co-founders, Nate Herc and Tyler Bauckham. So jumping right into it, why discovery calls matter? Well, first of all, first impressions really count. Many times, your first impression is going to determine whether or not the deal is won or lost before you even present your solution. And it reminds me of something that I learned from a mentor of mine, which is that there's actually no such thing as B2B sales. It's always P2P sales, meaning person to person. Yes, you are an organization selling a solution to another organization, but at the end of the day, you're a person on a Zoom call or a Google Meet call with another person, and you are selling to that person. And you're trying to build a relationship, and ultimately people only buy from people that they can trust and connect with. So always remember, it's person to person, relationship first, and there's a 3-step goal for every discovery call. This has worked for every successful discovery call that we've ever had, which is to start by building trust, uncovering the ROI opportunities, and then securing the next step. So jumping right into the 3 phases of every call. First of all, every call is going to begin with open and connecting. Again, establishing rapport by having a relationship first mindset. You really want to bring that positive energy to the call. Secondly, exploring and discovering, deep diving into the business processes, showcasing your AI and technical competency, and uncovering those ROI opportunities. And finally, closing and booking the next step. So phase 1, open and connect. You always want to start strong. This is something that I think a lot of people overlook, but always start with a smile and a wave. A smile and a wave goes such a long way, especially when you're on Zoom and in the era of online sales. Bringing that positive energy, make sure you look presentable, really goes such a long way. And really what you're trying to drive towards here is finding common ground. This is the best way to start off any call, is by making some type of connection and establishing that common ground. So the best way to do this is just by doing homework on your prospect before you actually hop on the call. Did you guys go to the same school? Have you worked at the same company? Do you share the same hometown? Was there ever a time where you could find online where that prospect posted a blog or left a comment on someone's LinkedIn page, or they have ultimate frisbee in their Facebook bio? Like, whatever it is, you want to find one of these things and you want to be able to connect with them on it. And if you can't find anything, just congratulate them on a professional achievement or update that they've had at some point in their life and say that that was inspiring. Always start off by establishing the common ground and getting the relationship off on the right foot. Sales requires a very high EQ. You have to be in tune with what the other person is thinking and feeling at any given time in the call. And the best way to start off on a positive note is by finding these common grounds. Another tip here is to use an AI research agent to automate this prospect research. Highly recommend everyone build that. If you are selling in services for your AI agency, you should definitely be able to build a tool like that. At this point in time, there's templates and all, and at the very least, it becomes something that you can resell or make a portfolio case study out of. So you really want to establish purpose here in phase 1 as well by framing the call. You don't want it to sound salesy. The frame should be an introductory or exploratory call that's focused on mutual value creation. So one potential thing to say is, hey, Mr. Prospect, you hopped on this call because you're curious about AI. My goal is to add value here in our short time together. If we find an overlap, that's a win-win, right? And you really do want to have that value first mindset. That value first mindset has served me and my business really, really well. It continues to do so. And this approach removes all pressure and creates that collaborative atmosphere where prospects feel comfortable and you feel like you're actually adding value, which again is the best thing you can do to actually close the sale. So phase 2, at this point in time, you've established kind of a little bit of a trust, a little bit of a rapport with the prospect. You've framed the call. Really, what you are trying to do here is get a deeper understanding across 4 critical areas that are going to determine whether or not this prospect is a right fit for you and whether or not you're the right fit for the prospect. So starting off with business processes, you want to find those painful, repetitive tasks that are ripe for automation opportunities. You want to begin initial mapping of their data infrastructure. What are the tools, CRMs, ERPs, databases that you're going to have to integrate with? Understanding their tech stack is going to be critical as you actually forecast a development plan, as you start thinking about what resources you need to apportion. You want to find out if they have any specific priorities and timelines that they're driving towards. Have they already allocated budget? Are they just exploring things because they're going to allocate budget 3 quarters from now? These are the types of things that you want to uncover. And finally, you want to see whether or not are they going to be the end buyer, are they going to be the decision maker that can actually pull the trigger and send you a payment. So to get into each of these a little bit more, the best way to do this is open up with a question, something to the effect of, how bullish are you on AI? I still use this on all my discovery calls. I even use this in just regular partnership calls, investor calls. This gets you a really, really good sense as to where the other person is in their AI journey and in their overall AI mindset. You're typically going to get one of 2 answers here. You're going to get a super bullish prospect, which is very exciting. This is one of the highest buying signals we've seen so far, is someone who is very bullish on AI. Typically, they're going to have 10, 20, 30 AI agent ideas already. And your job is to walk them through, leverage their excitement to help build the sale and build the business case. Balance that with your expertise and reality of what it is of building AI solutions. But you really want to identify the highest ROI opportunity between all of those agents, funnel that excitement, and add on additional value. So a lot of times you are the AI expert on the call. The prospect has been maybe doing research, watching YouTube videos, and has created this roadmap, but they maybe don't know the ins and outs of what it actually might take to build that solution. The best thing you can do is take their excitement, play off the excitement with, high energy, and actually showcase and add some value as to, hey, that's a great idea. Here's how I would approach building it, and actually give them the build plan live on the call. One of the best things you can do, and that has been the highest buying signal so far. The other answer or area of prospects you're going to get in this are those cautious and early prospects. They might just be very early in an exploratory phase of AI, and for them, what you would want to do is use the 4 cornerstones framework. So if they've done no thinking at all about where to begin their AI automation journey, this is typically a great place for you to start. So you can show them this framework where you can say and ask them these questions, right? What tasks are you doing over and over again? What eats up most of your time? Where do you and your team make the most mistakes? And what grows heavier as the business scales? Now, you can do this in 2 frames. You can do this on the individual level. So the actual prospect you're talking with can think about his or her or their daily life and what are they actually doing on the day-to-day of their business, and they can answer these questions. They can also think about it as the leader of a team or as the head of a department, where they can find these repetitive, time-consuming, error-prone, and scalable tasks across the entirety of the team. And that's where the real automations and real ROI opportunities lie. So just think about those 2 frames as you're framing this on the call. But ultimately, what you want to do is uncover a process that is ripe for automation, and that if it gets automated, is going to add value to that company. So quick checklist. What to collect by the end of the discovery call is, like we said, the buying temperature. How bullish are they versus cautious? Do they like and trust you? How far are they away from giving you money, right? And you really want to gauge their enthusiasm and readiness to move forward with you and an AI solution in general. You want to get the tech stack and integrations. So, general, at least an overview of what are the main tools, technologies that you're using. So you can begin to do some research as to, are there existing integrations that exist? Or are you going to have to do custom API calls? Are you going to have to hook into a custom database? Things like that. You want to get the timeline and urgency. Do they have budget? Are they deadline driven? You want to get the authority level. So can they actually pull the trigger? And the most important thing is to uncover the ROI opportunity. And this is the thing that you will use to anchor the next step on. So again, if they already have a roadmap of agents, you can find the one that's going to have the highest ROI. If they don't, you have taken them through that process live on that call, and now you have somewhat of an idea of what it is that they could actually do. And this is what you use to focus your proving value stage. So how do you actually close out a discovery call, right? You want to summarize the opportunity you uncovered, and you want to create momentum towards that next step. Again, staying with this collaborative value first frame. So after you've uncovered it, maybe you found that a invoice extraction automation is going to add a ton of value. Say, hey, Mr. Prospect, sounds like our invoice extractor solution that we discussed could create some real value in your business. I'd love to put together a demo to show you exactly what's possible, what it looks like, and so we can start building a business case together. How does Thursday at 2 p.m. sound for the demo? So you want to lock it in right there, right? So you recap that specific opportunity and the potential impact, propose your next step, which is really going to be a demo or an AI audit, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then you book that immediately, on the spot while they're still hot, while they would feel guilty saying no, and lock that in right there. The alternative to having a proving value stage and putting together a free demo is to actually sell an AI audit. Now, I will say that you typically want to have some more experience doing this. You want to have more experience building solutions. You definitely want to have client testimonials and actual case studies that you can show. But the play here is, instead of a free audit, you upsell into a paid AI audit. So the next call, instead of running a demo, you're actually selling an audit. And I've got a video about this coming out probably sometime next week. But really what this does, it's going to qualify your serious buyers. It's going to save you some valuable engineering time. It's going to create that immediate revenue, build a deeper client relation, but really actually allow you to get a deeper dive into those business processes where you can now be certain that any automation you build is going to have that ROI that the business owner is looking for. So I won't spend too much time here because, like I said, it's a different sales cycle. It's a different sales process. And it's an entirely different offer. But I do have a video coming out on this. But generally speaking, that's how you would want to run a discovery call. The most common mistakes to avoid here definitely are getting too technical. A lot of prospects tune out unless they have that technical background. And even then, you don't really want to deep dive on a discovery call into technical details. Keep it very much business focused. Get technical just enough to showcase that you are an AI expert. But again, you really want to keep it business and ROI focused here. You don't want to talk too much, right? So instead of dominating the conversation, you're constantly probing with strategic questions. I think a good split here is like 70-30. You want the prospect to be talking maybe 70% of the time. So those words that you say naturally will have much more impact, and the prospect is going to feel like they know you way better because people love the sound of their own voice, right? I think that's why I'm creating this video to some degree. You definitely don't want to ignore relationship building. So no trust equals no deal, right? So invest time in that genuine connection before diving into business discussions. So, and again, you want to build this, right? You really want to feel this. Let's say you're hopping on with a super busy executive who's going to hop on the call. Then you'll be like, all right, bam, 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 let's go, go, go. Don't waste their time with small talk, right? But most of the time, you want to spend at least a minute or two building that relationship. And almost always, you want to at least establish that common ground. Very, very important. And again, you don't want to be over salesy ever. Always frame conversations as collaboration and exploration where you are really trying to just drive value. And that should be your number one priority anyway, is driving value. Because if your number one priority is to close the sale, you're going to close less deals. If your number one priority is to add value, you're going to close more deals. I can guarantee you that. So some best practices here, again, high energy. You want to bring the enthusiasm without being unprofessional. There's definitely a balance to strike here where too much energy and too much can just come off as unprofessional and like a little childish, honestly. But you do want to bring that enthusiasm and know that your energy is contagious and it's going to set the tone of the call, and you want to carry it throughout the entirety of the call. You want to balance listening, right? Active listening, you're nodding, you're smiling, you're right? You're acknowledging things when the prospect says that. Show that you understand what it is before you advise. One of the best ways to be an active listener is to ask clarifying questions as to what it is that they just said, especially if they ask you a question. So let's say, for example, they ask you a question about, and I'll just use this as an example because I can't think of anything better. Let's say, hey, have you done any client work before? You might say, hey, Mr. Prospect, I understand, just to make sure I'm understanding, you're asking about, my portfolio and any client works that I've done. Is there anything specific you're looking for, any specific ROI numbers or anything like that before I dive into that, just so I know which testimonial is the best to show you? Now, that's not the best example, but the principle is there, is if they ask you a question, a lot of times asking a clarifying question is one of the best things that you can do to show that you are an active listener, that you actually understood the question, and most importantly, you're actually going to deliver an answer that they care about. You want to come into the calls with a collaborative approach, right? You're exploring opportunity together. You're not pitching them. You're not selling them on that call. Definitely remove yourself from any kind of outcome. This is going to help you a lot. There are tons of ways to get tons of discovery calls. It's never a life-ending event if a discovery call goes bad. And definitely remove yourself from any outcome. That's going to improve your close rate for sure. And again, most importantly, remember, it's person to person. Build that genuine human connection that's going to transcend the business transactions, and I guarantee you're going to have more business transactions. So again, recap, open again with that connection, establish the common ground, energy, and genuine relationship building, explore with the framework or deep dive into their own AI agent roadmap that they already have, collect that discovery data that we discussed, buying temperature, tech stack, timeline, authority, and ROI opportunity, and close with a commitment, secure that next call right there live on the call, or a paid audit if you can. I still have yet to one call close an audit. I have 2 call closed audits before, and then actually began preparing for the proven value call or for the audit. Again, bringing that energy, bringing that authentication, conversion will always follow those 2 things. So that being said, that's all I had. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found some value. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. Just go ahead and drop them in the comment section, and I will be sure to respond. Appreciate your time. Thanks.